Broadcasting from deep within an undisclosed Midwest basement, this is One Up RPG, and today we're going to be playing some solo Legend in the Mist. What I've done so far is I've created a character. The character's name is Ahshka. She is the daughter of a fortune teller, and both Ahshka and her mother are members of a traveling caravan that go across the dales and the lands of Legend in the Mist, and they follow seasonal routes to visit different festivals that occur in these communities. The Caravan of Curiosities sets up shop in these communities and becomes part of the festival that takes place in those communities. And so far, Ahshka, who is part of that caravan, they have been traveling during the wintertime, and they came across a little bit of a harsh winter storm that has prevented them from going any further on their usual route. They're up on a mountain ridge and they just can't go any farther. And the leaders of the caravan decide to try to seek refuge in Grayback Lodge that they happen to be passing by, a fortified manor high on the ridge. They seek refuge there as further travel is impossible. The keeper of the gate did allow them inside Grayback Lodge and has them wait in the main courtyard while decisions are being made about the lodging. Another character, Captain Herrick of the Guard, arrives and welcomes the caravan, and he invites them to stay and lodge in the courtyard. They're not going to let them stay in the buildings of Grayback Lodge, but they're going to let them set up their tents and stands and stay here for a while until the storm passes, and to just set up as normal, as they normally would in a community, to entertain the citizens of the manor and guests at the lodge during the winter storm, since everybody's kind of locked down. So the caravan members sort of disperse to different pubs and taverns in the lodge manor for an evening meal. Ahshka and her mother, who is named Mama Megwin, enter a cookhouse called the Curd and Kettle. And when we open the door to the Curd and Kettle, we see warm lanterns glowing. We see flickering candles on each table. We see a humble fireplace and stove against the back wall. This is all one large room inside the Curd and Kettle cookhouse. You can smell fresh baked bread and spicy fried meats and warm brewed tea, freshly brewed tea. These scents just really add a sense of comfort as Ahshka and Mama Megwin enter the Curd and Kettle. You hear clinking plates, jovial conversations. There's a small boy in one corner playing a simple stringed instrument to bring some music and entertainment to the atmosphere. Ahshka and her mother are shown to a table, and they sit down at a smooth, stained wood table that is probably generations old. And they are greeted by Toby. Toby is a tall, stout fellow with a balding head and a pot belly, and he warmly guides them over to a corner table. So that is where we pick up with Ahshka and Mama Megwin. And Toby, sit down, have yourselves a rest. We're going to make you welcome here in Grayback Lodge. You certainly caused quite a stir. What can I get for you this evening? And Ahshka and her mother each order their meal, and Toby hurries off. And of course, all eyes in the tavern seem to be on Ahshka and Mama Megwin, as they are the newcomers to the tavern. Even those visitors that have been here at the lodge for a while during the winter storm have sort of become accustomed to the way things are, and so these fresh faces are drawing a lot of attention. Eventually, Toby comes back and he says, "So, members of the caravan, what jobs do you do?" And Ahshka explains that she is a little bit of a street performer. She performs some card tricks and some sleight of hand magic tricks, and is just generally sort of a roaming street entertainer. And she sticks with Mama Megwin and And Mama Megwin, she says, well, I don't like to boast, but I am gifted with a little bit of foresight. With the use of my fortune cards, I do tell fortunes. Fortune teller, eh? Says Toby, and a little bit of a trickster. Well, why don't you entertain our guests here this evening? They could use a little bit of entertainment. Stephen over there in the corner playing the lyre, he needs a little bit of a rest. So what do you say? Why don't you show us a little bit of entertainment? So Ahshka reluctantly agrees to stand up and do a little bit of her act. So we're going to have our first roll here, and we're going to see what sort of tags and skills and abilities Ahshka might have to perform. Obviously, we're going to be pulling on her theme of being a trickster, sleight of hand, and misdirection. So I think that she's probably going to do just a little bit of juggling, a little bit of, now you see this ball and now I've made it disappear, pulling scarves out of people's ears, those kinds of things, just to see what kind of a show she can put on. So let's go ahead and give her a +2. We'll use the tags sleight of hand and misdirection, her old standbys, and we'll see what kind of a roll we can get out of that. So we're going to roll 2d6, and we're going to add a +2 to our result here. And we have an 8 + 2 for a total of 10. So that is going to be a resounding success. So Ahshka she's doing colorful scarves appearing out of people's sleeves and ears, and she's juggling balls, and she's doing card tricks, and she just has the whole cookhouse just having a great time in the curd and kettle, applause and laughter, and she finishes up with a flourish, and so she says, we have much more in the caravan of curiosities, and we do hope that you'll visit us when we set up in the courtyard tomorrow. Thank you very much. And everybody gives her a round of applause, and Mama Megwin looks pleased and sort of smiles and nods as Ahshka comes back to sit down, and Toby comes over. Oh my goodness, we haven't had any sort of entertainment like that in such a long time. Thank you both. Thank you both. How much do we owe you for the meal? Says Ahshka. Please, please be my guest. It's the least I can do for this great entertainment that you have provided us this evening. Thank you. Thank you. And so they wrap up, definitely feeling like everybody is excited for what is to come tomorrow. So we're going to create a story tag, and we're going to say that they've got a buzz of excitement. So they've got a buzz of excitement in the community. So that might come into play and give a bonus to some rolls that we might do. And so I think that Ahshka and Mama Megwin go and rejoin their fellow caravan members out in the courtyard who are setting up their tents and their wooden stage and merchant carts and all of the other things that the caravan usually sets up when they land in a community for the festivities that will begin tomorrow. So I think that we close that scene and we open the next day. The snow is still coming down. It's a little bit lighter. The wind is not quite as harsh as it was before. And so if people are bundled up, they are able to get out and about and enjoy. So I think that by the afternoon, the caravan has done some entertaining. The musicians have been playing. The bards have been telling stories, and the merchants have been selling some trinkets that they've brought from other lands, and everybody's just generally having a good time. Ahshka's been doing her tricks, trying to draw some attention over to Mama Megwin's fortune tent, and they have drawn the attention of one guest in particular, and that is Captain Herrick of the Guard. So to find out a little bit more about Captain Herrick, we are just going to go ahead and start homebrewing a little bit here and bring in some character oracle charts from Ironsworn Sundered Isles. So we're definitely going to be pulling in some other resources here. And I like these charts that exist here in Sundered Isles. So let's find out a little bit more about Captain Herrick. So the first thing that we're going to be rolling on is the character first look or here. So it's a D100 roll, and we've got a 30. So looking at our first look of Captain Herrick is encumbered. So he probably has on all of his different weapons guns and just looks like he's loaded down with the authority and the tools and weapons that might be needed to back that up. What about his disposition? Captain Herrick is feeling threatening toward the caravan. So something has happened that has soured his feeling. He welcomed them into Greyback Lodge, and now something has happened to make this captain of the guard not quite as eager to have them now, and he's feeling a little bit of threatening. So let's roll on some character details. What else can we know about Captain Herrick? 29, disabled. Interesting. So perhaps Captain Herrick has had some battle wounds. Let's give him an eye patch. So he's got an eye patch over one eye. And let's get one more detail about Captain Herrick. 74, critical. So I think that Captain Herrick, clearly an older veteran guard, takes pride in his work. He feels that perhaps these folks have gotten a little bit too relaxed in their dealings and perhaps are taking advantage a little bit of the generosity that is being shown to them. So it comes over, I think, to Ahshka and Mama Megwin after having dealt with some other folks in the caravan. And 73 says resist laws or authority. So I think that he probably feels like someone has done something that they shouldn't have. And if someone has done something that they shouldn't have, it might be time for us to bring in Jinx, the forest scamp, which is a little animal that is a companion of Ahshka, a little sort of raccoon squirrel hybrid kind of thing, who has a skill of being a silent pickpocket. So I think probably Ahshka was busy performing. Jinx, the forest scamp, sort of wandered off and got himself into some trouble. He probably stole some treats and some goodies that he wasn't supposed to. And so we will hear Captain Herrick, somebody catch that rat. What is it doing in the stall? And there's just a hubbub. And Ahshka looks over and she sees Jinx with some fruit and he's just busy just chewing it up. And she says, oh, wait, I'm sorry. And she runs over and she says, please, sir, I'm so sorry. This is my pet. This is Jinx. And he is all of the time getting into trouble. I'm very sorry. Let me pay this merchant for what he's done. I tell you, you caravan folks are all the same, always trying to take advantage, always trying to get something for nothing, and I see that you all are no different. No, please, sir, just let me pay the merchant what is owed. So we're going to need to ask another oracle. Let's use our handy dandy deck of solorpg playing cards. Ooh. And let's ask the question, will Captain Herrick let Ahshka pay for the fruit that has been stolen by Jinx? So let's turn over the card and we get a yes. Luckily, he will. Family and cheerful are two tags that I see at the top of this card. So I think probably the merchant intervenes. Now, we mustn't be too hasty, Captain. Look at him. He's just a little tyke and he's hungry. Let the creature enjoy his fruit. After all, I do have some of the only fruit that is available in this harsh winter. Let's let him enjoy. And Ahshka gives a couple of coins to the merchant, and the merchant smiles and nods. And so Captain Herrick calms back down a little bit and not quite as upset as he was before. Please, Captain, I'm very sorry. Why don't you come over and meet my mother and I, and we'll show you a little bit of what we do here in the caravan. We just simply want to entertain. You probably saw me performing. Yes, you're quite adept with those juggling balls that you have, and I still can't figure out how you pulled those scars out of those children's ears. No matter how I look, it definitely looked like magic to me. Well, that's what we strive for, says Ahshka, but I think that you might be more impressed with the skills and the magic of my mother, Mama Megwin. Why don't you step inside the tent here and see if you can get your fortune told? So switch things around here a little bit, and and let's take a look at some different resources that I have. So inside this binder, I have put the solo oracles that are available from the game itself. I haven't used those yet, but I'm sure we will. We also have the alternate solo rules published by Turk of the Grouch Couch. His videos are what led me to this game in the first place. I've got some stuff from Mythic Game Emulator 2E, of course, but I knew that I wanted to do some tarot cards with this solo session to simulate what Mama Megwin is doing. So I found this resource called Labyrinthos, and they have available on their website some freebies that will help you interpret some tarot cards, and they looked like great solo RPG oracles to me. The website is about teaching people how to use tarot cards, but we're going to use them for something else. So Ahshka shows the captain into Mama Megwin's tent, and inside Mama Megwin's tent, rather than it being sort of spooky and mystical, it is very nature oriented. She has very earthy tones in there. She has some remnants of wood and some tiny plants that she has managed to keep alive into the winter, and just a nice earthy scent of incense in the tent, and everything is very comforting. And she says, come in, have a seat, and let's see what Mama Megwin's fortune cards have in store for you. This should be fun. I've never had anything done like this before. Wasn't it great? The captain's mood has completely changed. Let's see what we've got going on here. So Mama Megwin is she says, I am going to take 3 cards, and that is all I will need to give you some information about what might be coming for you. So our first card here is Justice, which is interesting, coming for the captain. Karma and Truth we have along with that. She says, I see you have the Justice card, which certainly tells me that you are a captain that is very interested in keeping the peace here in the lodge. You are so good at your job, and you are respected by all the people as a fair advocate for justice. Certainly, sir, that is something to be proud of. But what is something that might be coming up in the future for you? Oh no, she says. We have pulled the Devil card. The Devil card shows a shadow coming over Greyback Lodge, something that is going to bring a season of misfortune, a season of want to the lodge. But looking into the future, we pull one more card and we see what that will bring. So we have the Knight of Pentacles reversed. Obsession with work and stubborn. I see, though, that your diligence and your devotion to bringing justice and peace and protection to your people will allow you to overcome this difficulty that will befall your community. Captain Herrick, I have no doubt that you will bring your community through these troubles just as you have others in the past. And Captain Herrick says, may I see those cards, good lady? And she says, of course, of course. These have been passed down to me through the generations. And he takes a look at each one, and he seems to be inspecting them closer than someone with just a passing interest might. And his fingers trace along some symbols that are on the cards. And he says, yes, they are most interesting. Definitely the artwork is very, very eye-catching and very intricate. You must be very proud of these. Oh, yes, says Mama Megwin. And she takes them back and she begins to shuffle them back. Well, certainly I hope that you have enjoyed your reading. It sounds like you have some challenges ahead into the future. Yes, challenges, of course. Thank you very much. What was your name? Mama Megwin, my dear. You may call me Mama if you like. All of the other children in the caravan do. Well, being the age closer to yours, I think I'll just call you Megwin. Thank you very much, ma'am. It has been most intriguing. And he leaves with just a little bit of an air of mystery, leaving Mama Megwin to wonder what was up with the captain. Ahshka comes back in and wants to know how it went, and she fills him in. And she says, "Did you notice anything different about the captain? Did you notice anything unusual?" And let's do a roll to see if Ahshka did. So looking at her card, we see that she has, as Mama's apprentice, reads people. She knows how to look at her marks, as it were, in the crowd and to see which ones might be more susceptible to a magic trick than others. And I think that also she's seen a few things. So she is very observant of people and knows how to read their personalities and things of this nature. So let's do a roll and let's see if Ahshka was successful of noticing anything different or unusual about our captain. A 7 plus 2 for 9. So that's going to be a success with a consequence. And so I think that she did notice something. But what did she notice? When in doubt, ask Mythic, I say. So let's go over to Mythic and see what we could roll on that would help us with that. Let's roll on some character motivation chart here, D100, and let's see if Ahshka noticed anything, maybe about what the captain may have been really up to as he had his reading with Mama Megwin. 74. 74 is peace. And so that definitely ties in with what Mama Megwin had to say about him keeping the peace. What else? 18. Diminish. Diminish peace. So maybe Ahshka feels that he's not exactly on the up and up, that maybe he is not just interested in keeping the peace here at the manor. Maybe he would have some interest in upsetting the way things are. So I think that Ahshka is going to put that together, what she noticed with the way he dealt with Jinx earlier. And there's something about his overreaction to what Jinx was up to that makes Ahshka feel like maybe there's something else going on underneath that he has maybe a different motive than was originally shown by him. And I think that when Mama Megwin talks about the interest that he showed in the cards, and particularly those markings, I think they're definitely going to want to keep their guard up and keep an eye out for what the captain might really be up to. So I think that we're going to end the session there. We've had a couple of successful encounters for Ahshka and Mama Megwin, and getting themselves established here for their short stay in the community. Whether or not Captain Herrick is definitely going to continue to be supportive of them is something that we will probably explore in our next session. So thanks very much for watching, and I hope that you'll stick around for more sessions of Legend in the Mist and the Legend of Ahshka.